Run Your Story family. This is Allison Gilliard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And I am so excited to be able to share with you guys my beautiful friend, Chrissy Schneider. She's absolutely phenomenal and has literally ran in several different states. I absolutely cannot wait for you guys to hear this really cool run that she does for New Year's. Like, I want to go and do that. And we've talked about it and we've got to do it, Chrissy. I absolutely love Chrissy. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and we talk everything in this podcast from yoga to just how running is so much fun and you have to be consistent, and absolutely amazing stories that she shares. She even brought her running beds for me to see and all the memories that she writes on them. Oh, such a great idea, and it absolutely was so cool to hear that. And we talk about her phenomenal parents. They're amazing. Chrissy, huge shout out to your parents. Absolutely love them. Guys, you have to get to know them. They're big supporters of our running community. They will volunteer for races, as does Chrissy. And so this family, they are such great cheerleaders for our running community, and I love them. So get to know Chrissy's parents, because all the stories you'll hear, absolutely phenomenal. And so Chrissy, thank you so much for sharing not only your story, but your parents. I love them and I love this story. And just thank you for all that you do for making our running community better, whether it's running in races or volunteering. You are amazing, my friend, and I absolutely love you. So thank you so much. Huge shout out and thank you for making this podcast possible to our Patreon supporters. Guys, you are amazing. You're beautiful, and I absolutely love you. You are some of my favorite people. You know that I think that you hung the moon because you believe in this podcast. You believe in what we're doing at Run Your Story. And for you to come and be a part of the Run Your Story family, it's a huge honor. I can't even put into words what it means when I see that we have a new Patreon supporter, because that means that you guys believe in this and the dream. And so I'm truly grateful for that. Your stories are worth being told, and the Patreon supporters make sure it happens because they make sure this podcast is taken care of. It costs money to put on a podcast. And it would cost way more if we had to record at a place that charged, and if Greg Gilliard from Gilliard Tech Services charged us for editing, but he doesn't. And so I'm truly thankful to have the community support that we do, and our Patreon supporters make sure that the podcast keep going because of them, it is paid for. And so I'm very grateful for that, because that is amazing, and it's such a relief to know that the community believes in us. So thank you to our Patreon supporters. You are Run Your Story, and I absolutely love you. Also, guys, like, share, comment these posts, these stories, because they need to be shared. So many people need to hear your stories. They are beautiful. They're inspiring. They really challenge us, and they get us to think, just like Chrissy's does. So thank you, guys, and get ready to race up those running shoes, because here's Chrissy and her Run Your Story. Yay, Chrissy. So excited to have you on. You were one of the first people I've been wanting to get on. Yeah, so excited it's finally happening.
I'm excited to be here.
And there's something that you said to me a while back that has just always kept me grounded and running. And that is, which I'm sure you're going to share later on in your story, but that is when you came here that you felt accepted in running, that we always ran together as a community.
Yeah.
And that really has just been like something I hadn't even thought of. But because you said it, you set that bar, that standard, and I was like, okay, here's the Chrissy standard now.
I'll be honest, before I joined your running group, the only running group experience, I tried 2 running groups when I lived in Virginia. And one of them, they met on a Sunday morning. It was a group of, and I was a pretty fast runner at that point. Like I could keep up with people. I was like
I'm pretty sure you still are, Chrissy.
yeah, I was like a Sarah Nell at that point. I'm like a little less than a Sarah.
Oh, okay.
But they ran on these backcountry Virginia roads, and they like took off. And they were like, oh, you'll go this way, and I'll come. And so I was huffing and puffing trying to keep up with these folks, and we're like out on these backcountry roads, and I could see them maybe like a half mile in distance, and I'm like, okay, they turned at that tree. That's right. And so it was terrifying because I was like, I don't know where I am. Like I've never run or ridden. I've never driven these roads before. So that was my first experience trying with a group run, and I didn't go back to that group because I was like, I don't want to get lost in the woods of Virginia. And then my second one, I went to, it was a running store, and they're like, let's do a group run. And so I went with two friends, one who was super fast, and the other one, we were like, we were maybe like a 9:30 pace, so not slow.
No,
but
not at all.
So there were maybe like 5 or 6 other people there, and so they told us the route. Again, I'd never run that area before. I was more familiar with it.
Sure.
But I'd never actually run it. And they took off, and my one friend, she took off with them, and the other two of us, we like looked at each other, we got to a turn, and they all turned, and they were probably a quarter mile ahead of us at this point. We're like, we're just going to do our own thing. So we just went for our own run, and then ended up back at the shop, and they showed up a couple minutes later, but that has been my experience with running groups and so I walked into a group being like, all right, what's this gonna be like? And I was like, oh, this is so great, because I didn't know Mobile. Like, I had just moved here, and so I was like, man, I really hope they don't leave me behind, because I'll really be lost. And so
okay, Chrissy.
So that's why I really appreciated that you made that an emphasis, because as somebody who had never been a part of running groups before, that was very important to me. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how does your run story start, my friend?
Yes. So it started at age, let's see, I think I was 19, freshman year of college, right at the end of the freshman year of college. Okay. And I decided, it was within 2 weeks of the semester ending, and I was like, you know what? When we come back in the fall for my sophomore year, I'm going to join the soccer team. I had zero athletic experience. Okay. Zero. Like, I did not play sports in high school. Okay. Did not run in high school. My family was active. Like, we hiked, we biked, we walked, but we're not what you would call athletic. But I went to a college of 300 people, so they just needed bodies on the team. Like, and so the only requirement to join the soccer team was you had to be able to run 3 miles. That was the only requirement. They were like, we'll teach you. Yeah, they're like, we'll teach you how to kick the ball. Oh, okay. And so I went home that summer, and I was like, I'm going to join the team in the fall. And I was like, I'm going to run 3 miles. So my parents lived in Montgomery at the time, and I came down to Fairhope for my grandparents for a lifeguard course for a couple of weeks. And so that was like the first 2 weeks of summer I was down here. And my grandparents lived on a cul-de-sac, and I measured it with my car. It was 1/10 of a mile long. And I was like, okay, to run a mile, I just have to run this 10 times back and forth. Oh. I'd never run before. I'd never done it, and I didn't know anybody who did this. And so, yeah, that first morning, I woke up before lifeguard training, and I went out, and I think I made it like halfway. I think I made it like half of 1/10 of a mile before I had to stop and be like, oh, this is hard. And so I started running, and I think I downloaded the Couch to 5. This was back in 2006. So I printed the Couch to 5K program off the internet, and then just rigidly followed, checked it off every time I did it. And so by August, when we went back, I could run 3 miles barely, but I could do it. And so we go into 2 days, and I was thinking that you're going to show up the first day and they're going to make everybody run 3 miles and be like, you can do it or you can't. No, they didn't do the 3 mile run until the end of the 2 weeks of 2 days. Oh. By that point, you're very in shape.
Yeah, yeah.
But the second, I show up to practice. The first day we do morning practice, then we do night practice. Never worked out, never done any kind of strength training. Like, running that summer was all I'd done. So I wake up the second morning, and I couldn't move. I was like, what has happened to me? What? I was like, what's wrong with my body? Why can't I move? I was just really sore because I'd never worked out before. But I will never forget the first run of being like, oh my gosh, this is harder than I thought. And also that first morning of, working out makes you sore. So, and then I just kept going from there. And I enjoyed playing soccer, but what I learned from that experience was that I love running and I like soccer. Oh, so I kept running after college, and so that's my run story, and I just have been running ever since.
Yeah. And you brought running bands, which I love. I love that so much.
Yes.
Is there something that you do with your running bands?
Yes, I try to keep them from all my races, and I write down my time. I write down any notes if I ran it with people, or the weather was terrible, or this really fun thing happened. Yeah. Just little notes to help me remember. And then I always write the date, because what I noticed, I didn't start doing that until about halfway through starting to collect them, because what I noticed is that a lot of race dates don't have the date or the year on them.
That is so true.
So
never even thought of that.
So now I've learned to always also write the date. Otherwise, you're just like, when did I run this race?
Oh yeah, and a lot of bibs look similar, and so
yeah.
In my house, it looks like they just duplicated, but you're like, No, there's 4 of us. There's 4 of us that ran, but we don't know what race that is.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun to look through them and remember and be like, wow, I was so fast back then. Or be like, oh my gosh, that was a really awful race. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
That is, how did you come up with that concept?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just started. I'm not really a memorabilia or like a collector. That's not. I'm very much a.
You're very minimalist.
I'm like, get rid of it. It's a joke in my family because my dad and I are very similar, except in that area. He's a hoarder and I'm not. And we butt heads about that a lot. But yeah, for whatever reason, I started keeping them. I think because I was like, these are small, they fit in, I have them all in my little folder, and it's easy to move around. And so I think that I was like, this is one piece of memorabilia I can keep. Also, I just really love running.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. I love that. So what a great thing.
Yeah.
You're the second person that I've heard that does that.
Yeah.
That keeps notes. And I'm like, why didn't I think about that sooner?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I should start this. But
yeah.
So let's talk about some lessons that you've learned from running.
Yeah, this question stumped me. But then once I started thinking about it, I think that honestly the biggest lesson I learned is the power of consistency. When you consistently do something small, even if you just do it poorly, if you do it, you get out there and you do a run and you're like, that was a terrible run. Or you get out there and you run a 1/2 of a mile and you're like, I guess I'm going to walk the rest of this.
Yeah.
But if you consistently are doing something, you will get better at it. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing it's learned me is the power of just being consistent over. So I've been running 2026 will be my 20th year of running.
Wow.
And so yeah, however, like that's running is one of the longest things that I have done in my life. Like I've switched jobs, switched houses, moved to different cities, and running has been a consistent thing. And so yeah, and then also the grace when I'm not consistent, being able to learning how to have grace on myself
for sure,
and jump back into being consistent has been a really good lesson. And also a final lesson is that sometimes the best thing I can do to build strength is to take a day off.
Yeah.
And that's a big lesson as well from running. It's like when your body's telling you you can't do this today, to listen to that and not to try to push through.
So what some people may not know is that you are also a yoga instructor.
I am.
And let me just say, oh my goodness. Chrissy, amazing. It's one of those things that like when we've done it, I don't even know how many times I've taken it with you. But it's one of those things that now I'm like, oh, I miss yoga with Chrissy. Aww. Like I need that because I feel better. And it's not like what you're saying that some days you do need to focus on another aspect of your body with stretching, with mobility. And I learned so much about my body with you. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm supposed to be able to do that. Okay, got it. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yoga is my favorite. On the days when I'm like, nope, can't run today, it's always yoga. Because it just makes you feel better. Yeah.
I want to tell this quick funny story real quick.
Okay.
And it's going to be about... It's one of my favorites.
Oh, yes. I love this story.
So we were training for Azalea Trail. Your mom came out and biked with us while we were running, which is what inspired anchored movement. And then we did yoga after.
And I forgot to bring yoga mats for me and my mom. Forgot all my yoga supplies. So that was my bad.
I love that. But she used a car thing.
Yeah, like a sun visor.
Yeah, sun visor, yes. So she was like, it's warm. Feels great.
And it was cold that evening.
It was cold, yeah.
And so yeah, she had the sun-warmed shade just like laying on the ground.
But you would do a movement. She's no, Chrissy.
So what? You may know this. I usually will try to practice if I'm teaching a class and it's one I've not taught before, I'll practice it on my mom.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she loves yoga and we enjoy doing it together. And so I'll be like, hey mom, I have a new class. Can I try it out on you? And she's like, of course. And she will let me know, that's a bad flow. Or she'll be like, what? Those instructions need to change. Which I really appreciate. But so that class, I had just practiced on her a night or two before. And so the move, I was just improvising. I was like, let's do this. And that's what she was like, no.
So, because we were all like, no, Chrissy's mom just said no. Like, how do you she said no to the teacher. Like, how does that? All I can think about is like how little kids are. You're like, oh, like that's how I felt. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, she did not just tell Chris. It was so, and I love your parents. Like they're amazing. They're amazing.
They're so good.
So much fun. We volunteered at a water stop before with your dad, and
this is one of the highlights of his year.
Hoot. So funny. So this is a plug. If you've not sat down with Chrissy's parents and had coffee with them, or done yoga, or worked a water stop, do so.
Yeah,
because
they're amazing. They're so fun, and
you will be laughing in stitches.
Yes, and if you're really special, we'll invite you over for dinner and to play our new favorite game called Swoop.
Okay,
yes,
I'm not special enough.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Okay. I love that so much. The 20 years that you've been running.
But okay, wait. What is 17?
Okay, 17. Okay,
gotta be accurate.
Sorry, 17. Math is not my strong suit. 17 years you've been running. Do you have a favorite race?
Yes, I have two favorite races.
Ooh, okay.
They were both in Virginia because I'm only moved down here 2 years ago, and I only started running races here once I connected with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now all my race memories are in Virginia, but I'm hoping that I will get more down here. So, first favorite race. Okay, this one actually in North Carolina. So when I lived, I went to college in Virginia, had a good friend. She graduated a couple years ahead of me, and she lived in North Carolina. She was only about 5 hours away. And so just outside of Winston-Salem, I think they still do this race. They do a New Year's 5K, but it starts at midnight on New Year's Day. So you line up, and then they do a countdown. So you go 10, 9, you classic New Year's Eve countdown. Yeah. When it gets to 1, you say Happy New Year, and then the race starts.
Whoa!
It's so fun, and you run through a Christmas lights. Like they do the Night of Lights here. Yeah. But so you do your New Year's countdown, and then you do a 5K through these Christmas lights. And then you finish, and they have food and all the normal post-race stuff, but it's like 1 a.m. And
wow!
And then you go home, and you're exhausted, so you just go straight to bed. And then
sounds like a perfect way to ring in the year.
So it was so fun. I think that some of my favorite race memories were when she and we would always be like, why didn't we sign up for this? It would be like 9 o'clock, and we're like, okay, let's just go to sleep for 2 hours, and we'll wake up and we'll go. And we were like, what are we doing? And then we would always get home. We were like, that was awesome. We're going to do it again next year. We did that 2 or 3 years. And that's one of my favorite races. Mm-hmm. It's a well done race. It was just really fun to do with her. And it's really unique to count down to New Year's. And literally start the new year running. And my second favorite race was also in Virginia. I don't know if they still do this one or not. It's called the Virginia is for Lovers 14K. And so Virginia's motto, like the state motto, is Virginia is for Lovers.
Yeah.
And so they did it on Valentine's Day weekend every year.
14K,
yeah. And so it was like heart theme and pink and run passionately and so fun. And so the theme was really fun. And then you could pay to have messages, and so you're running through the race, and they have little signboards with like hearts and like cute messages. And one year, some guy was like, "Will you marry me?" There was a sign that said, "Will you marry me?" I was like, I wish I would just stand here and see this go down. But then I was like, maybe it already happened because there were a lot of people in front of me. And then they had really good swag and fun food at the end. It was just a really fun race. It was in Virginia Beach. And so I think that was my other favorite race.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Oh.
I would totally, if they were doing that still, I would totally like travel.
Road trip. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we should go, which I think we have talked about going.
To the New Year's.
To the New Year's.
Yeah, that's why I think they do still do that one, because I think we looked it up to go,
Yeah. So we need to sign up. We need to make it happen.
Yeah,
let's do it. And that's why we're running buddies. Even though we don't run together. We do, but not at the same pace. I'm not a Chrissy face. Okay, so let's talk about your pre-race routine, because I don't actually know this.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
I try to get a lot of sleep.
Okay.
So I go to bed early. No hanging out, no partying.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And then I usually try to wake up at least an hour before I'm going to leave the house, because then I can drink coffee. I'll try to do my devotions, get a good poop in.
Yes.
and then I leave. Usually I try to leave early enough that I'm there at least a half hour before the race, if not more, because that way I can get good parking. And then I park, and I get in line to go to the porta potty. And then I go, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing super special. Usually a cup of coffee, and then Maybe food-wise, I don't eat a whole lot, so
Mhm.
maybe pancake with some peanut butter on it.
Okay.
But I don't like to eat until about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. And before that, I'm just like, I'm a morning person, but I do not like to eat before about 8 o'clock.
Gotcha.
And that's it. Pretty simple.
Cross the finish line.
Yeah.
Race is done. What does your post-race routine look like?
Chicken biscuit.
Really?
That's my favorite thing.
Okay.
Post-race, yeah, especially Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I crave after a race is a chicken biscuit. I don't eat chicken biscuits normally in my normal life. Like they're a very, very special treat. But yeah, after a race, that's like, I don't know why, but that's the one thing I want.
So when you're out and about, let's say you're not in Mobile, but you're in a different town.
Well, Chick-fil-A, thankfully.
Okay, there you go. That's true. You're right. But I was thinking, like, if there's a restaurant that has that you're like, ooh, no, like this is better than.
No, Chick-fil-A.
Okay, got it.
Chick-fil-A's king.
Okay.
If you're in a chicken biscuit, you gotta go to Chick-fil-A.
You got it.
Although I did a couple months ago, I was going somewhere, and I had to be somewhere right after a race, and I passed by, I think it's called Goldfingers.
Okay.
It's on Cottage Hill Road, I think. And they had a pretty good chicken biscuit, honestly.
Okay.
I would go back to that place.
Got it.
It has a big chicken. A big chicken, and I think they normally do chicken tenders.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was called, but
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You like a chicken biscuit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also a good yoga session afterwards.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Yeah.
I was shocked by the chicken biscuit. I was not expecting that. What is Chrissy's favorite running item?
Okay, maybe this is TMI, but my Athleta sports bras.
Okay.
Yeah. I struggled for years to find a good sports bra. And yeah, I have 3 now, and they're amazing.
And what brand is it? You said?
Athleta.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, I love them. They're great. I have a bum shoulder, like neck area. I slept on a sofa bed wrong, and then I got on an airplane, and it's bad. And so sports bras, sometimes when I wear them, make those muscles tense up, and it gets really painful. And so the ones I found at Athleta haven't, for whatever reason, they don't do that. And so that's.
I'm telling you, a good sports bra is like gold.
Yes.
And you're like, once you find it, you're like, I've got to buy them all.
Yes.
So I totally understand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
such
they've
a good
lasted me, I think, I've had them at least 2 or 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
And, I haven't had to replace them yet. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. Can't say enough about them. Go buy them.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Running shoes.
I am currently in a pair of Sauconys, and I do like Asics. Those are my favorites, but I'm not super picky about my running shoes as long as they're supportive and they have less than 400 miles on them, then they're fine. Yeah. If I put it on my foot, I know if I like it or not.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Asics are the ones that I generally gravitate to.
Do you have a favorite running fuel for like longer runs?
Yeah. So you introduced me to the Huma.
Okay.
The gel, they're like chia gel packets.
Yes.
I really like those.
Okay.
I can have a sensitive stomach, and so those do really well for me. I also Fig Newtons.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
and they don't have to be brand name. Just off-brand, store-brand Fig Newtons.
Okay.
Work really well as well.
I like that.
Yeah.
So did you put like in a little baggie?
Yeah, put in a little plastic bag. Stick it in my little waistband, and yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm always learning something. So we talked about your favorite races. Do you have a favorite running memory?
Yes. So when I lived in Virginia, I worked at a Christian camp. And one of my friends there, we were camp friends. If you've ever worked at a camp friends are just different. They're like camp friends. And so we worked together. We were on permanent staff, so we were there year-round together. But we were also actual friends. And then we became running buddies. And so we would work all day together in the office, and then we would go for a run on our lunch break. And we ran all the trails around camp. And yeah, we did that maybe 2-ish years.
Wow.
I have trained a lot of running buddies, and then they move. And so she ended up moving, but she moved back to New Zealand, where her husband was from. And so it was like bittersweet, but we decided as one of our final hurrahs, we were going to run a trail race together. Because we'd done a couple of road races together, but we'd never run a trail race together, even though we trained on trails at camp all the time. And it was so fun. It was cold, but it was a really fun race. And we got this epic picture of both of us jumping at the same time. So we're like running down, and Kyla goes, "Oh, there's a photographer." And she like gets there, and she's, okay, ready? We're gonna jump on 3, 2, 1. And so we both jumped, and he snapped the photo, and it's an awesome photo. And so I think that's one of my favorite. It was a special race because it was like our last hurrah before they moved. And then it was also that photo. It's just a really fun memory.
That's amazing. Yeah. A good race picture.
Oh, can't beat it.
No, you can't. Not at all. I thought you were going to say talking about camp, where you went running. You were going to do this race.
No. That was not a favorite memory. So yes, there was a 10K at the camp where I worked. And all of us camp staff one year were like, we're going to run it. And we trained for it. One of the girls, she got like second or third in her age group.
Oh, wow.
No, she got second or third woman of the whole race.
Yeah.
She was very intense. It was going to be a great race. We hiked up and down these trails every day. And so we ran the route together. We knew this route. And within the first half mile, we're running on this trail that I literally had walked down every single day that week. And I tripped on a stump that I knew was there and rolled my ankle and had to drop out of the race. That was not a favorite running memory. That might be my worst race, actually. I was so mad because I was like, I know this trail.
The thing is, knowing you now, I almost would want to be there to see like your facial expression.
One of my coworkers was right next to me. He's like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, Josh, I think I just twisted my ankle on a route that I know about.
I know that it's there.
Yeah.
Oh,
meanwhile, Josh had just gotten off of we had a volunteer rescue squad, and he volunteered. So he had just pulled an all-nighter at volunteer rescue squad, got 2 McBiscuits at McDonald's on his way, and then came and ran this 10K.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys were diehard.
Josh was diehard. I dropped out of the race.
Oh, man, that's so funny. I love your camp stories. They always crack me up. And then that story, I don't even know how many times I've heard it, but every time I can't help but giggle because I think I just envision your face, like when it happens. Because I know you, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah, I was like flabbergasted and mad. I was like, what?
I can just imagine you like coming, hand on her hip, going, "You're not gonna believe what just happened." I'm not wrong.
No, you're not.
And this is also a question that I don't know. Do you listen to music when you run?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I never have. I never.
Okay.
I think maybe when I first started running, I didn't because I was too cheap to buy headphones. And then I just got into it. And there's a lot going on in my head all the time. And so running is a great way to clear my head. And I don't like necessarily adding.
Sure.
At one point in my life, I tried doing podcasts while I was running. That was interesting. But then it just added to all the stuff going on in my head.
Sure.
And yeah, running for me is a way to get away from everything, put my phone on silent, and just be and sit with my thoughts, process through things. I have a lot of breakthroughs when I go running.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I have a lot of, hey Siri, remind me in 2 hours, and I'll dictate whatever I had this breakthrough on. And then
that's cool.
Then I can put it off then I can forget about it and know that it's going to pop back up on my phone, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do.
That's a great idea.
Oh my gosh. So I use the reminders on my phone all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because there have been times that I've been running and I'm like, oh, think about this. And then I get home and I'm like, what did I think about?
Yes.
Genius.
Yeah.
Chrissy.
Yeah, you just you remind yourself and then you can forget it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Favorite recovery tool?
Yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, yoga and go to bed early the night after the race. I just like to go to bed early.
What is your favorite cross-training activity?
Yoga.
That's not true. You're working out now. You're doing strength training.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So
which I talked with your.
Yeah,
I did.
Met Rachel.
Yes.
So I started training. Was like trying to convince my dad that maybe he should work out a little bit more. I was like, Dad, let's do strength training together. He was up for it, but he was more up for it because we were going to do it together. Aww. And then my mom heard that we were going to do this, and she's like, I want to do it. So Thrive Wellness is like right around the corner from my office, and so 2 nights a week I get off a little bit early, and we all 3 meet up there and do strength training. And yeah, I love it. So strength training, yoga will always be my favorite, but strength training is a close second. Yeah.
But I love that so much.
It's so fun.
Oh, yeah. Again, I think I just want to bring popcorn and just sit and watch you guys as a family.
We're all very silent because they work us very hard. There's not a lot of bantering happening.
Really?
Really?
I'm shocked by that because I could just imagine your dad just saying no. Or your mom going,
oh, my mom, she's so hardcore. She's so up for it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's so cute.
They are really cute. It is really cute to watch them encourage each other because they do they do work out together, and then I have my own.
Okay.
And so it's really cute to watch them. Mom will be like, "Come on, John."
That's so sweet.
Yeah, they're really cute. They're totally listening to this right now. And they're like really embarrassed.
No, they're both smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
And your parents have great smiles.
Yes.
So
yeah. My parents are just awesome. The whole world just needs to know them.
They really do.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, Chrissy's parents can make you feel better.
Yes, it's true. It's
really
true.
Is. Yeah.
They're just great people.
They really are. Yeah. Worst race and why, Chrissy?
Well, no, okay. I actually forgot about that.
Ooh, okay.
I blocked it out of my mind. So thanks for bringing that up. But there was another race and I don't know if this was a long time ago.
Okay.
So it was over 10 years ago. So I don't know if it was a bad race because I was just not feeling it and it was really cold and I am really sensitive to cold. And so I don't know if it was a bad race because I got really cold before it started and it couldn't get warm or if it was legitimately a poorly organized race. So I don't want to slam them, but it was a hot chocolate race. And
yes.
Do you remember? I don't know if that's still a thing.
Okay, I do the virtual ones because the closest one here is Georgia.
Okay. So there was one in Georgetown, which is a suburb of DC.
Okay.
And I went to it, and this legitimately did happen. They got us on our corrals, but then we were there maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. So I like had sweaters and stuff on, but then they're like, okay, everybody go to your corral. We're about to start the race. So I gave all my stuff to my friends who were with me, and then I was in the crowd because I was trying to go for this race and do a really good time.
Okay.
So I was dressed to immediately start running and run pretty fast. Wow. But we sat in the crowd for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and I just got really chilled. And that kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. And then the shuttles to go back were really disorganized. And I was cold and I was tired.
You didn't get your chicken biscuit.
Yeah. So I think that the camp race, that was sad, but it wasn't like, that was my worst race in that that was the only race I've not finished. But I think the hot chocolate race was probably my least favorite if you think about worst race in that way.
Oh, that's so sad because they have such great swag.
Yeah, I know. I was really excited about that one too, but I really think it might just be because I just got so cold and that just colored everything.
And that's all you think about. You're like, and you're right. Like when you get bone chilled cold, there's no warming up from that. Yeah. Like you're like, I have to get home. I have to take a warm bath. Like I need to curl up. Yes. Yeah. And I get that level of chill very easily. And so, I have to be really, I don't think there's anything wrong with me. I just get really cold. Yeah. This is why I love Mobile. Oh, man. See, I'm the opposite. Give me the cold all day long.
Okay, so when I lived in Virginia, come the end of September, I would start wearing 2 pairs of socks every day until the end of April. And then come middle to end of October, I would start wearing a pair of leggings underneath my pants every day until the end of April. And that also was wearing like 2 shirts. Yeah. So yeah, I was, and Virginia's not really a cold place. Yeah. I just get cold really easily.
Right. You do get snow.
Yeah.
Up there.
And I was working outside as well. I wasn't working in the office.
Gotcha.
Like we were outside doing stuff, so that also.
There you go.
Yeah. I consistently for about 6 months of the year would be wearing 2 layers of clothing.
The great thing is you're ready for any occasion. Let's say that somebody comes to you, Chrissy, and they're like, I want to get started running. What is some advice you would give them?
First, I would be like, that is awesome. Great choice. I think don't be ashamed to walk. That walking and running go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
It's not a one or the other thing. Everybody starts walking. I am coming back from a stress fracture, and so I'm considering myself a newbie. I'm starting back with run walking. And don't be ashamed to walk. And then find a buddy. Find somebody to do it with. Whether that's somebody who is maybe like me, who's been a runner but is coming back into running and will get started with you, or somebody else who's, I want to try running and do it. Yeah, find a buddy.
I like right now we're buddies.
Yes. Because I'm a total newbie back at this.
So it's been like fun because I'm like, oh, we're the same pace right now.
Yeah.
It won't last, but it's been great. I'm like, I love our conversations.
Yeah. It's fun. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is unique because I prefer running with people for safety, a lot of it, but also it's just fun to like run with people.
Oh, absolutely.
And so over the years, I've always been trying to find running buddies, and so I feel like it's my MO now is I'll find a running buddy, and usually it's somebody who maybe ran in the past but isn't running now, or somebody who wants to get into running, and I'll just run with. We'll do the Couch to 5K together, and so they won't necessarily get to my pace, but what I used to do with one running buddy when I was training for long runs is I would run like 6 miles and then pick her up for the last 3 miles.
Oh, wow.
And that was good because then I was slowing down by that point, but then she kept me going because she was fresh. And there's ways for more advanced runners to help new runners learn how to run without necessarily sacrificing your own training.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I usually will find somebody to be a running buddy, and if they're like, I've never run before, I'm like, that's okay. We'll just do it together. Like we'll train together, and if it wasn't enough of a run for me, I'll run before, or I'll run afterward. But just I like having that person, but also for safety. Yeah, it's nice as a woman. It's nice to be running with somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
Goals. I know you're coming back to running.
Yes. Yeah. Not to re-injure myself.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but let's be honest. That wasn't a running injury.
Okay. I think I had weakened it. Okay, so for people who don't know the story, so I think I had been training really hard, so I think it was a stress fracture on my third metatarsal. And I think I had already weakened it with my training. I think it would have gotten there, it just would have taken longer. But I tripped over a cord I left laying around my house and stumbled, and it was very dramatic. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, wow, that does not feel normal. And then I rested it for a week, and I was like, oh, it feels normal again. And so then I started running again. I was like, oh, it's kind of achy. And then we went and ran stairs. And then the next day I was like, I think I need to go see a doctor.
And then I get the tags. I have a stress fracture.
Yeah. And then I couldn't do the farm to fork race, which I was really sad about because I was looking forward to that one. Yeah. But I decided I did keep that race bib because I decided that I would have run it. Yeah. Even though and so I wrote on the race bib that I didn't actually run this race because I had a stress fracture.
There you go. Yeah.
So now it's in my file.
I love that. You're like, we accept all beds.
Yeah.
Do you have a mantra for when it gets tough and you want to quit?
Yes, and I wrote it down, and I totally forget what it is, so give me a minute. Clearly, it's not actually a
mantra. That's so funny.
So I would say I don't really have a big mantra that I quote a lot, but you'll be glad that you did this when it's over is something I think, like on hard runs, this is going to be worthwhile at the end. And also, it's okay to walk. Yeah. I'll say that to myself sometimes too. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I like that. And you're right. We're like, oh, dying. And then you get done and you're like, oh, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And also even just a couple hours later, the next day being like, man, I'm glad. Again, it goes back to that consistency. Yeah. Everybody's talking about consistency. I did it, and maybe it was rough, but I was building into that savings account. Somebody gave this analogy about Bible study. Jen Wilkin does this analogy about Bible study. I think it also applies to running. You're building into a savings account, and so a savings account, you put money in, not with the expectation you're going to put it in and get it out right away, but you put it in and it builds up over time and it accumulates interest, and then when you need it, it's there, and you're able to make a big withdrawal. Whereas a checking account, you like put it in, it comes out. You put it in, it comes out, and so consistency is you're putting it into that savings account. You keep putting it in, you keep putting it in, you keep putting it in, and it builds up. Your fitness builds up. Or if you're doing Bible study, your spiritual knowledge begins to build up. And then when the time comes, when you're doing a race, when you're running, or if you have a trial into your spiritual life, you have that emergency fund there, that build up to be able to pull on.
Oh, that's so good. It's so good because the timing's perfect, because Keith, who I talked to last week, he said, you just keep showing up. And it's, again, consistency. You keep showing up. Yeah. I love that. You're there. You do what you need to do. And then, it's there when you need it. Yeah. Oh, that's so wise. Man.
Jen, I'm going to give full credit to Jen Wilkin because I did not come up with that.
That's amazing. What has been your favorite length to run?
10K.
You didn't even have to think about it. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I love 10K. 5Ks are fun. Okay. I don't think I have any distance that I hate. 5Ks are fun, But in my mind, it's, I'm going to go run a 5K. Like, it's just a fun, 5Ks are more for the atmosphere for me. Because they're, like, 5Ks usually, it's a fun atmosphere. You have all sorts of people there. Usually it's a fundraiser for something. Like, 5Ks are just fun.
Yeah.
10Ks are where it's, okay, you have to have done some kind of training to be able to finish a 10K.
Sure.
And so, I just love it. To know that I can do a 10K and run 6 miles is good. I've done one half marathon.
Okay.
I would do another one. Like, I did it in 2011 or 2012. So it's been enough time now that I would do another one. So
I just tagged you the other
I
day.
know. I'm like pondering. I think I need to be willing to commit, because it was a lot of time to train for that half marathon.
Yeah.
And so I need to be able to commit the time to it. But
we can totally do it. Accountability partners.
Yeah.
Showing up for each other.
So but 10K, hands down, favorite distance.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite 10K race that you've liked?
The Isaiah Trail
Okay.
was actually really fun.
Yeah.
And I liked how, I don't know if they've always done this because I've only run it once, but the 5K comes in at near the end of the 10K, the 5K comes in. At first, it was very disorienting because I was like, oh my gosh, how are all these people suddenly going way, like, I thought we reached a point where we were leveled out and we're all just running. Then I realized what was happening. I was like, oh, okay, they can go faster than 5K. And I thought that was fun because it gave a little burst of energy. And also I loved how people just sat out on their yards and had DJs and boomboxes. That was a really fun atmosphere. So that was a fun 10K.
Yeah.
And then when I lived in Virginia, they did they called it a trail 10K. It was through a local park. It was it was not a true trail 10K, but it was like a fun, it was local. I knew the route, and it was just a fun, like, 10K.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
10K girl.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's
okay.
me.
So when you're not running, Chrissy, what do you like to do?
Okay, this question cracks me up because I feel like running's always, it's when you're not doing this, what do you do in your spare time? And I feel like running is always the answer. That's how, what do I? It's like flipped. I work full time, so that's a big commitment.
Okay.
I'm the office manager at White Swanner Realty. And then I hang out with my parents a lot. I moved down here to be close to them. And they're just really cool. So
Yes, they are. I second that.
And then my granddad also lives down here, so we hang out with him. Shout out to Papa. And we do just a total rabbit trail, but we developed this family tradition. We call it quarterly breakfast. You've probably heard of it.
Yes.
And so every quarter, we pick a new place to go to brunch, and we have a list of all these places. We get recommendations, and we put them on the list. And so then at the end of every quarterly breakfast, we pick where and when we're going to do the next one, and then we rank them. So we have a ranking of top 3 quarterly breakfasts. And so at the end of every breakfast, we're like, okay, where does this one rank? Here's the 3 we ranked last time, and so where does this rank? And but what's fun is that it's the rest. We always take we've been doing this for like a year now. I think we've done more than 4 breakfasts, though. We've been doing it for, we started it last summer. And when family comes into town now, because we'll take a photo and send it to the extended family group text message, we'll be like, we're at quarterly breakfast. And so now whenever family comes into town, they're like, we do a quarterly breakfast.
Oh,
so it's
that's
like a
so
family.
cool.
Yeah. So yes, that is one of my Saturdays. I think we do more than once a quarter because I'm linking through all the ones we've been to. But and then and I also am a member of Marcel Church, and so I'm involved with a small group there. I'm on the coffee team, so and I do a lot of their women's events as well.
Yeah. And so we see a lot of each other.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So fun.
It was I had just moved here in 2021. I've been here like 2 years and a month now. And so
that's it? It just seems like it's been longer.
I think it was just the Lord knew that this is where I needed to be.
Yeah.
Which is a real gift because I was very nervous about moving here, and I didn't know a soul when I moved here except for my parents and my granddad. And so it's been a real gift to see how God has provided community and friends and people. But it was within the first couple months of me being here, there was a women's event, and they had everybody stand up and talk about all these different women's ministries. I was like, oh, that's cool. And you stood up and you were like, oh, we have this running group. And I think my jaw might have dropped to the floor because I didn't know any churches in Virginia that had running groups. Wow. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I moved to Alabama and I found a church with a running group. Not slamming Alabama or churches in Alabama, but it just was not I've lived right outside Washington, D.C. And so if you were going to find a church with a running group, it was going to be in that area.
Wow.
And so I was like, cool. And so I went. And that's how we met.
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah. And it's just fun. I feel like we've been attached at the hip with running with different things because we text each other and then we brainstorm together. And
And you tag me in random races.
I do. I'm like, hey, Chris, what do you think about this?
I'm like, sorry, I have quarterly breakfast that weekend.
But it's just been so much fun. Again, it's that while running something we have in common, we realized we had so much more in common, but running is what brought us together.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing that I really appreciate about running and the running community is that it's, yes, that's something we have in common. There's so much more to us than running.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been such a joy to be around you. And again, just to see the people that you've gotten to know and through the running community, all the fun things we've done and are going to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Any final words of wisdom, my friends?
Ooh. Something that I've been thinking about a lot the past, probably since COVID. So what is that? However long ago that was. So it's just something that has become a theme in my life of thinking long term.
Mm-hmm.
And so think about your life from the perspective of yourself at age 70 or 80. What are you going to be glad you did and what are you going to regret? And that has been really helpful to me in making big decisions and small decisions. So at age 70, am I going to regret that I took off 6 weeks to heal my foot, or am I going to regret that I pushed through? And it's that granular of, am I going to regret not taking care of myself now, or am I going to regret that I took the time to take care of myself now? But also, am I going to regret that I skipped a race to do quarterly breakfast with my family and my granddad? No, I'm going to be happy that I spent time with him, right? Yeah. Or am I going to regret that I slept in instead of going for a run? Like when I'm 80, what am I going to look back on and be like, I'm glad I made those decisions? And again, going back to consistency, what am I going to be glad that I was consistent in? And that has been really helpful for me.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just choosing to live an intentional life based off of, okay, when I'm 80, what do I want to look back on and think, I'm happy I did that.
100%. That's something that I've tried to instill in my kids because I want them, now they're transitioning to where it's just about to be Gray and I.
Yeah.
But I've been intentional with the fact that, just like you said, I'm like, I may not can run the pace that I want to right now, but when I'm 80, I still want to be running.
Yeah.
Or when I have grandkids, I want my kids to be able to call me and say, hey, we want to go on this trip, or we want to go hiking, or we want to go canoe, like whatever it is, whitewater rafting, or jump out of an airplane. I don't know, whatever it is. I want to be able to say, I'm healthy enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to say, we want to, but mom can't go.
Yeah.
Because she's unable to. And so I want to be that person that they're like, oh yeah, like we can do anything because mom can do it.
Yeah.
So like we said, putting in that savings account, everything I'm doing now, that's the perspective I have is, yes, I'm running, I'm doing all these things now, but I want it to be the best when I'm older, when my kids need me in a new way, in a different way, when I'm raising another generation. Yeah. That's my mindset. Like I want to be able to play on the floor with my grandkids and get up. I want to be able to take them on a jogging. Here's my goal. Here's my goal. Okay.
Okay.
And that is when I have grandkids and they're in the jogging stroller. So people are like, oh, your kids look so good. I'm like, oh, thanks. These are actually my grandkids, but thank you. Like, oh, like, that's.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
So again, you going back and talking about that savings account and thanking it, that is so important.
Yeah.
And it was so wise. I absolutely love that.
Thank you. And it also applies, was it Jim Mather who was on here and was talking about in some seasons of life, you just need to stop running because there's other things that are more important in that season and you can come back to it. Yeah. I really appreciate what he has said there. I think that goes along with it as well. It's just recognizing, okay, maybe I'm in a season right now where I need to take a break from this thing, but and you can come back to it.
Absolutely.
Like, there's grace. If you lose consistency, there's grace to come back to consistency. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good, Chrissy. Oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun. Yeah.
How good was this podcast, guys? Thank you, Chrissy, so much for sharing your story. Just all the amazing stories that you have. And again, your bibs were so cool. And it has really caused me to think, you know what, I need to start writing on my bibs because that was so cool to see. And yeah, Chrissy literally keeps them in an envelope. So if you ever want to see them, just ask her. It's amazing. And again, thank you, Chrissy, for volunteering. Thank you and your family for saying yes to running and taking care of the running community, whether it's through running or walking or whether it's through volunteering. You guys, you make up the running community, and I'm truly grateful for you and truly grateful for your friendship. You are such a bright light, and I absolutely adore you, my friend. And this was so much fun. It was such an honor. And Chrissy has such a special place in my heart. So thank you, Chrissy, for sharing your stories. Absolutely phenomenal. And wow, I absolutely loved it. So can't wait for more adventures with you, my friend. And again, thank you to our Patreon supporters for making this podcast possible. Guys, you got to thank them. Got to say thank you to our Patreon supporters. And as always, thank you to Mars Hill for providing such a safe and fun place for us to be able to record and to be able to share our stories with no interruptions and don't have to worry about safety. That is truly a gift, and I can never say thank you enough for that. And as always, Gilliard Tech Services, you guys can find him on social media. You can also find him at his website as well. Ask him to freshen up that website. Ask him to create one. He gets asked all the time about ideas and stuff, and he works like crazy to make it happen. And I'm truly thankful that he believes in Run Your Story to make our website as great as it is. And so cannot say how amazing Greg Gilliard is for Gilliard Tech Services. He believes in Run Your Story. He believes in the running community, and he just wants what's best for all of us. And so it's truly amazing. And I'm so thankful for the team of people, for all of you listeners, Patreon supporters, Gilliard Tech Services, and Mars Hill, and all of you that come and you sit down and you share your stories. It's a community, literally, that makes this happen. And so I can never thank you guys enough. Thank you. And I love you all. It's amazing. And so, guys, as I like to say, Chrissy has become a part of my story. It's become of your story. And so when you get out there and you run, go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.